Sometimes we just want to export a single thing from a module. In those cases, it's better to use a default export. Let me show you what I mean. So here in the source folder, let's add a new file called storage.ts. In this module, we're going to define a class called store for permanently storing some objects. So here we can have methods like add, find, delete, and so on. Let's not worry about those details. Now in the same module, we can have other classes like compressor and encryptor for compressing and encrypting objects while storing them in the storage. Now, in this case, I don't want to export these classes because these are part of the implementation detail of this module. So other modules should not know about their existence. All they need to know is the store class. So they just create a new store and add an object to it. Everything else is implementation detail. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of a remote control. A remote control has a bunch of buttons on the outside and a bunch of other stuff on the inside. You're not supposed to touch anything on the inside. What is inside is considered the implementation detail and it might change in the future. What matters is what is on the outside. So in this module, if we export these classes, other modules might potentially use them and become dependent on them. Then in the future, if we decide to change these classes, if we decide to remove them or restructure them, other modules that are using these classes might potentially break. So we should reduce the surface area of our modules. We want to make our modules like a remote control with very few buttons. This way we can reduce the coupling or dependency between our modules, okay? So here we can export the store class and then go to our index module and import it just like how you learned earlier. Now this is good, but if you're exporting only a single thing from a module, there is a better way. So back to the storage module. Here we type default to indicate that this is the default object exported from this module. Now, while importing it, we no longer need the braces. So that makes our code slightly cleaner. Now, default exports can also coexist with named exports. For example, back to our storage module, let's define an enum called format. And here we can have members like raw and compressed. Let's imagine that other modules need to know about the format enum. So we're going to export it just like before. Now, while importing these objects here in the index module, first we import the default object, and then we add braces, and here we import the named exports like the format enum, okay? So this is all about default exports.